Good morning, everybody. This is My Life, My Money, Mia, LLC. Today, we're going to talk about the black tax and what is the black tax and how can we move away from the black tax. We're going to have 5 different categories we're going to talk about, and each of these categories affect mostly black people and poor people. So if you don't like the word black, you can use the word poor. So if you're black, if you're poor, it has a lot to do with your life. All right, let's begin. All right, number 1 is the mortgage interest deduction. With our current tax codes, the federal government allows incentives, or you could deduct your interest you pay on your mortgage. Now, 58% of black people are renters. So the majority of us do not participate in that program. And we also miss out, since we are not homeowners, we miss out on appreciation. You know, the national average is appreciation is 2% every year. So if a house costs $100,000, next year it'll cost $102,000. The following year it'll cost $104,000, and so forth and so on. So forth and so on. Also, we miss out on the equity in that house. So if you get a mortgage, you pay $100,000, and 10 years later that house is worth $150,000. That $50,000 is actually your money. That's your equity. You could use that equity to borrow upon at a lower rate. You could use that equity as collateral. You could do a lot with that, or you could sell the house, pay off your mortgage, and take that equity with you so you can go to your other house. Also, since a lot of black people don't owns, a home is mostly the biggest asset a person has here in America. So if you don't have a home, most likely you won't have a big asset or net worth. Also, not owning a home, you miss out on fixed payments. Usually mortgage comes in 15 to 30 years, and that's pick the one that's a set fixed payment. So the first year, if you pay $500 a month for everything, by year 25, you'll still be paying $500 a month. And hopefully, if you get a home after 30 years, 10 years, 15 years, you could pay that home off, so your living expenses will be a lot lower. So, all right, another thing we have to look at is, since 58% of black people are renters, we are making the landlord richer and richer. Now, I'm personally am a landlord myself, so I could personally speak on this topic. As a landlord, your tenant pays for your taxes. The same taxes I deduct off my taxes, your tenant pays for that. Your tenant pays for your insurance. Your tenant pays for the repairs. Your tenant pays for the maintenance. Your tenant pays for any expense dealing with that house. That expense is passed on directly to the tenant. So the more and more we rent, the bigger the wealth gap is going to be, because other people are using that money to get rich off of. And another thing that the government does with being a landlord, it has special tax incentives that landlords can touch into. For example, depreciation. I can deduct depreciation off my house, not the land, but the house. Take, for example, my house costs $115,000. Each year, I deduct $2,300 off my taxes. Straight off the top, boom, depreciation. Also, the interest I paid, I deduct that. The property taxes I paid, I deduct that. The maintenance the tenant paid, I deduct that. The maintenance or repairs the tenant paid, I deduct that. Insurance, my landlord insurance, I deduct that. It's just this boy, landlord being a landlord It's good. It has its ups and it has its downs, but if you plan it right, it could be almost passive once you set it up, but it's not passive at the beginning. That's all I have for landlord reduction. So let's get out this written stuff. Let's keep making the landlord a richer person, and let's get our own stuff to live in, man. All right, let's go to the next one. Higher local taxes. Per the Washington Post, black folks pay 13% higher property taxes. 13% higher property taxes. And at the same time, black people properties are assessed at a higher rate, but it sells at a lower rate. You see how they get you? They say your house is worth $200,000. You're going to be taxed at 1% on that $200,000 every single year, which is to say $2,000. But when you go to sell that house, your house only can sell for $150 and $125. You see how they scamming us on that? That's your local government. Black people pay 13% higher property taxes. If we even start talking about car insurance, black people pay higher car insurance based on zip code. You see all as a game? This is the black tax. This is some of the things is structural suppression built into the system. Structural suppression built into the system. Another way the system allows us to get higher taxes is let's just call development. Let's call it area development. And we go break down this area development in 4 different ways, 4 different steps. You have white flight, blockbuster, scorched earth policy, and gentrification. I know everybody heard about gentrification before, but that's the last step. It's a couple more steps, in my opinion, before you get to gentrification. White flight. A lot of historians said a white person is comfortable when black people are around under 8% of the population. So anything past 8%, a white person, per statistics, usually get uncomfortable and leave. During that process, you have Blockbuster comes in. You have some realtors that before the value drops, the sale value drops, realtors will come in there and promote it up and sell those houses that the white people fled to black people at a higher price. So the black people move in, pay a little higher price. The former owner takes that equity out that house, goes to the suburbs or back into the city, one of the two, and use that money for a down payment or to build wealth. So we got white flight, we got blockbuster. Here's the third one, scorched earth. Once those people leave these neighborhoods, they take the jobs with them, they take the resources with them, they take the services with them. All the thing they leave behind is the crime. And how do you get crime? It's when you don't have no resources, no jobs, no transportation, no good education system, no good infrastructure. All that stuff came from taxes. All that stuff came from taxes. And the people just left all that and abandoned ship. So over time, that area goes down and down and down. The values get so low that the local government has to raise the taxes up to pay for more police officers. They have to raise the taxes up to cover more health insurance because people can't afford to go to the doctor and they get sick. They have to raise the taxes up. Then over time, once the area get real bad, the local people can't afford the taxes in there, or the buildings become run down, and that's when gentrification starts to happen. So after white flight, 10 to 30 to 40 years later, people want to come back into the area, buy those houses at pennies on the dollar, and 10 years later, they bought a house for $5. That house is worth $100,000. That's going on right now in Washington, D.C. That's going on right now in Baltimore, Maryland. This is happening right now, and we just got to be aware of it. So that's how the game goes. All right, now we got the employment tax. The employment tax. What is the employment tax? Let's look at statistics. The median income for black families is $50,000. The median income for all other families is $74,000. A black man with a college degree or advanced degree makes $200 less than other men with the same education. A black woman with a college degree or advanced degree makes $100 less than other women with the same education. You see the disparities? You get taxed more. You own less houses, so you can't build wealth, and you make less money, so you can't afford those houses to get. You see how the whole system works? But we gonna solve that at the end of this video. We gonna solve that. All right, let's see here. If you take unemployment and the people not looking for work, black people are at 32%. That is the real number of the unemployment. It's at 32%. While other people, that number is at 26%. Now, we know how the human work. People like to look at people who kind of look like them, who shares the same values and has the same principles. So it's only naturally white folks is gonna hire white folks, Spanish folks gonna hire Spanish folks, Asian folks gonna hire Asian folks. But one thing about my community is we don't got no jobs, so we can't hire our folks. So we have to rely on those other communities, which they don't want you as the number one or the number two, but they'll take you if an opportunity comes and they just need a person. Now, don't judge me. I'm not talking racism. I'm not talking this. I'm just telling you how it is. Another statistics we could look at, a lot of people talked about the unemployment rate is so low, it's at historical numbers. That is correct. But the black male is 50% higher, has a higher rate than other males in the United States. 50% higher. Why is that? I know if some crazy people look at this, they'll say the black person don't want to vote, they lazy, all this kind of shit. But fuck it, you know what it is, you know what's going on. So let's go to topic number 5. All right, and the last topic about the black tax is the judicial system, the court system. How does it work against the black people, the black community? Let's picture this. Black people are less likely to use drugs from the age 16 to 34. But black people are more likely to be pulled over from the age 16 to 34s under the suspicion of they using drugs. Does that make sense? It does. It shows a bias in the system. And it doesn't just stop there. Once you go to the court system, you have some states, if you cannot make bail, you stay in that system until your trial date. The state of Georgia has 2 years to have your day in court. So if you don't have the money to get out, you can wait up to 2 years in jail, wait for your day to court. It was a young man in New York went to Rikers Island for supposedly stealing a book bag that he didn't steal. He spent two or 3 years in prison or in jail waiting for his sentence, his trial. Once his trial came up, they let him go. A few months later after that, he committed suicide. That is an injustice in our system. The system is not fair. Also, I read some statistics today that's kind of crazy. They said 94% of people plead guilty just because they won't have to wait that long time in jail for trial, or they was threatened by harsher sentences if you don't plead guilty. You see how the system works? The Constitution says every man is innocent until proven guilty. Anything you do in life, you are innocent. Let them other folks prove you guilty. Don't never say you guilty. Because if you say you're guilty, they could throw the book at you because you already signed off. That's like signing a check. You signed a check and you let the other person put the price on there, but you signed it first. That person could put $1, that person could put $50, that person could put $1,000, but you already signed the check and say it's good. So you got to watch out for that. All right, what ways can we stop? How can we get out the black code? Okay, with mortgage interest deductions, man, we got to get in the ownership game. We need to set goals for ourselves to purchase a home and try to purchase a decent neighborhood or purchase a home that has a bright future. All right, when you're looking for homes, they go check your credit. So you need to get your credit right. You need to get your employment right. You need to get your savings right. And you need to start doing research, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. Do research and look for programs that will help you. Many states has a lot of programs, especially made for first home buyers. I took a program some years ago for a first home buyer. They gave me no PMI and 0% down payment. I took that. I had my friends. I had a friend that took a homestead credit that gives you $5,000 every single year just for having a home. So we have to make our due diligence about getting our credit right, look at different programs, getting our unemployment right, and stack a little money, because buying a home, you do have to pay some money outside your pocket. You got close. It's more than closing fees. You have fees before you get the closing. All right, landlord deduction. All right, how we could get better on landlord deduction? Let's start owning our stuff so we don't have to rent. So once we get the ownership down pat, we may want to move into a different home. And when you move into a different home, you have options then. You got an option to sell your past home or rent your past home. It's 3 ways to build wealth in this country: business, investments, and real estate. You see that real estate? That's a good strong one. Everybody need a roof over your head. So there's no excuse not to get in the real estate game. And there's no excuse not to get in the investment game, especially we have all these programs or services out here that you can invest with only $1. You can invest in $1. The past 2 years, the stock market is making 30% on 30%. So you invest that $1 2 years ago, you'll have $1.60 now. Let's get in the game, people. All right. Higher local taxes. Whew. Now that'll be a hard one, because the only way to lower local taxes, you have to create a thriving community. So much money is coming in. The government said, man, I'm taxing, my sales taxes is right, my property taxes is right, everything coming in right, more people moving in, so they funding the schools, so they don't have a reason to raise taxes. But that takes a while, because you have to build a community. All right, employment tax. I talked about black people make less. Black people have a higher rate of unemployment. Only way we can stop that is creating our own business and hire our own people. That's the only way around that. We have to create our own business and hire our own people. All right, justice system. How we get around that? Shit, sometimes you can't get around that. They see you black in that car, they gonna pull you over, check you out. You know what I mean? They see your bass up, your bass too loud. They used to get me for bass. Your bass up too loud. Your window's tinted. You win that stop sign, even though it was a yield sign. They get you. So we just got to know how to play the game. Put some money to the side just in case. Never say you're guilty. Always comply. Don't give them an opportunity to whip your ass or shoot your ass. Always comply. Know that. Well, I said first. Damn, what did I say? Oh, put some money to the side. Not guilty. Let them prove you in court. Always comply. Always comply. Because your fight is not there on the streets. Your fight need to be, once you get back home, you fire them in the court system. Don't fire them out there on the streets. Because they ain't going to do nothing but whoop you. And the dominant society is going to justify it. Justify the killing. But guys, this is my life, my money. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I hope y'all guys learned something today. Make sure you have a good day, a good week. It's getting springtime out here, so go for a walk, get some of that vitamin D on your skin. And y'all guys take it easy.